I mostly read public domain books here on Glenn Reads Books to You, and they were written a long time ago, so they're usually racist, or sexist, or bigoted, but in there somewhere is a story, and that's why those stories are famous. Other times, I read works from independent authors, and they're delightfully not racist, but they might have adult language or adult situations, like, making sex. So that's your warning, but I'm sure you're grown up enough to handle it. Don't write to me complaining. The Matrix? What the hell is that supposed to mean? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Oh, God damn it. All right, go on, sit down, you little idiot. I was just reflecting on a neighbor of mine who, basically, he broke his shovel out in the snow, so I decided to go help him. Like, he broke the handle. And so I was talking to him for a minute. I said, I got other shovels and stuff if you need any help. He's out there with his son. And he goes, I don't need any help. He goes, I pay people to come do this. And I'm like, why are you doing it now? And he's like, because, they already did it yesterday, and so now I got to do it today. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And he goes, that's how it works in the Matrix, he says to me. And I go, what are you, some weird QAnon person? The hell, you gonna start talking to me about the nature of reality while you're shoveling snow and you broke your cheap snow shovel that you bought at Target? Is that the Matrix working against you, you idiot? Well, anyways, I got weird neighbors. Welcome to the Glenn Reads Books to You mansion. It's a fun little bit where I pretend to live in a mansion and not just recording in my basement. It's where I read the hottest public domain books and short stories. This week, we're reading Asleep in Armageddon by Ray Bradbury. Want to hear about the author? Sure, I stole it from Wikipedia. Ray Douglas Bradbury was born August 22nd, 1920 and died June 5th, 2012. He was an American author and screenwriter, one of the most celebrated 20th century American writers. He worked in a variety of modes, including fantasy, science fiction, horror, mystery, and realistic fiction. Bradbury was mainly known for his novel Fahrenheit 451, written in 1953, and his short story collections, The Martian Chronicles, Illustrated Man, and his best-known work is speculative fiction, but is also worked in other genres, such as the coming-of-age novel Dandelion Wine, and the fictionalized memoir Green Shadows, White Whale. He also wrote and consulted on screenplays for Moby Dick and It Came From Outer Space, that they were done into film adaptations, whatever. New York Times called Bradbury the most responsible writer for bringing modern science fiction to the literary mainstream. Asleep in Armageddon, as it's alternatively titled Perchance to Dream. The story was first published in Planet Stories, 1948, and was reprinted in Avon Fantasy Reader number 11 in 1949. Want to hear some fun facts I stole from the nationalpost.com? Sure. Despite the heavy emphasis on technology and the future in his works, Bradbury was unsure of the value of the internet to modern society. He was skeptical, saying that the internet hindered relationships between people. He even once said that the internet reduced people's abilities to communicate and hold conversations with one another. This skepticism led to his resistance to having his work converted to ebook format, which always pissed me off. Quote, we have too many cell phones. We got too many internets. That's a quote. We got too many internets. We have to get rid of those machines. We got too many machines now, unquote. He told the Los Angeles Times in 2010. But Fahrenheit 451 has since been made into an ebook, which you can find on Kindle. Well, that's the grandfather clock telling me to shut up, and we should get downstairs to the library and read this story. All right, sit down, for Christ's sake. I gotta hurry up. It's my dog's. It's about the time that he wants to take a dump. He always does it at the same time of day, but now he's sleeping on the couch, and I'm trying to take advantage of this as much as humanly possible. So let's hurry the hell up and read through this as fast as humanly possible. You don't want death, and you don't expect death. Oh, something goes wrong and your rocket tilts in space. A planetoid jumps up, blackness, movement, hands over the eyes, a violent pulling of the back of available power in the four jets, and the crash. ... comfort, the darkness. In the darkness, the senseless pain. In the pain, the nightmare. He was unconscious. Your name? Asked hidden voices. Sale, he replied in whirling nausea. Leonard Sale. Occupation? Cried the voices. Spaceman! Exclamation point, he cried, alone in the night. Welcome, said the voices. Welcome, welcome. They faded. I stood up in the wreckage of the ship. It lay folded, tattered, garment around him. The sun rose, and it was morning. Sale pried himself out of the small airlock and stood breathing in the atmosphere. Luck. Sheer luck. All the air was breathable. An instant's checking showed him that he had 2 months' supply of food with him. Fine, fine, he said. He fingered at the wreckage. Miracle of miracles. The radio was intact. He stuttered out of the message on the sending key, crashed on planetoid 787. Sale, send help. Sale, send help. The reply came instantly. Hello, Sale. Yeah, this is Adams and Marsport. Yeah, sending rescue ship to logarithm. Will arrive planetoid 787 in 6 days. Hang on. Now Sale did a little dance. It was as simple as that. One crashed, one had food, one radioed for help, and help came. La! He clapped his hands. The sun rose and was la. I don't know why that's bothering me so much. Just in italics. La! He clapped his hands. The sun rose and was warm, and he felt no sense of mortality. 6 days would be no time at all. He would eat, he would read, and he would sleep. He glanced at his surroundings. No dangerous animals. A tolerable oxygen supply. What more, could one ask? Beans and bacon was the answer. The happy smell of breakfast filled the air. After breakfast, he smoked a cigarette. Slowly, deeply, blowing out. He nodded contentedly. Oh, what a life, eh? Not a scratch on him. Luck. Sheer luck. His head nodded. Sleep, he thought. I've never done that. No, my body's shutting down. Sleep, and then I fall asleep. Good idea. 40 winks. Plenty of time to sleep. Take it easy. 6 whole, long, luxurious days of idling and philosophizing. Sleep. He stretched himself out, tucked his arm under his head, and shut his eyes. Insanity came in to take him. The voices whispered, Sleep, yes, sleep, said the voices. Sleep, sleep. He opened his eyes. The voices stopped. Well, everything was normal. He shrugged and shut his eyes casually, fitfully, and he settled his long body. Yee, sang the voices far away. Ah, sang the voices. Sleep, 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 sang the voices. Die, 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 sang the voices. Ooh, cried the voices. A bee ran through his brain. Well, he sat up. He shook his head. He put his hands to his ears. He blinked at the crashed ship, hard metal, and he felt the solid rock under his fingers. He saw the real sun warming the blue sky. Let's try sleeping on our back, he thought. And he adjusted himself, lying back down. His watch ticked on his wrist, and the blood burned in his veins. Sleep, 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 said the voices. Ooh, sang the voices. Ah, sang the voices. Die, 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 sleep, 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 die, die, sleep, die, sleep, sleep, die. Oh, ee. This is bizarre as hell. Yeah, blood tapped in his ears, the sound of the wind rising. Mine, mine, said a voice. Mine, mine, he's mine. No, mine, mine, said another voice. No, mine, mine, he's mine. No, ours, ours, sang 10 voices. Ours, ours, he's ours. His fingers twitched and his jaws spasmed, his eyelids jerked. At last, sang a high voice. Now, now, the long time, the waiting. Over, over, sang the high voice. Over, over at last. No, it's like being under sea, eh? Green songs, green visions, green time. Bubbled voices drowning in deep liquors of the sea tide. Faraway choruses chanting senseless rhymes. Leonard Sale stirred in agony. Mine, mine, cried a voice. Mine, mine, shrieked another. Ours, ours, shrieked a chorus. The din of metal, the crash of sword, the conflict, the battle, the fight, the war, all of it exploding, his mind fiercely torn apart. He leaped up, screaming. The landscape melted and flowed. A voice said, I am Tiyil of Rathalar. I hate that. I hate 1940s writing about fake names and fake places, planets. It's always horrible. It's always made up and dumb sounding. Proud to yield of the blood mound and the death drum, to yield of Rathalar, killer of men. Another spoke, I am Ior of Wendillo. I hate this. Wise Ior, destroyer of infidels. The chorus chanted, and we, the warriors, we the steel, we the warriors, we, the red blood rushing, the red blood falling, the red blood streaming in the sun. Well, Leonard Sale staggered under the burden. Go away, cried. Leave me. God's name, leave me. Hee, shrieked the high sound of the steel hot on the steel hot on steel. Silence. He stood with the sweat boiling out of him. He was trembling so violently he could not stand. Insane, he thought. Absolutely insane. Raving insane. Insane. He jerked the food kit open. He did something to the chemical packet. Hot coffee was ready in an instant. He mouthed it. I've never heard anyone talking about drinking coffee as mouthing it before. Spilled gushes of it down his shirt. He shivered. He sucked in raw gulps of breath. Let's be logical, he thought, sitting down heavily. The coffee seared his tongue. No record of insanity in the family for, 200 years. All healthy. Well balanced. No reason for insanity now. Shock? Silly. No shock. I'd be rescued in 6 days. No shock to that. No danger. Just an ordinary planetoid. Ordinary place. No reason for insanity. I'm sane. Oh, cried a small metal voice within, an echo fading. Yes, he cried, beating his fists together. Sane. Somewhere, a vanishing laughter. Well, he whirled about. Shut up, you, he cried. We didn't say anything, said the mountains. We didn't say anything, said the sky. We didn't say anything, said the wreckage. Well, all right then, he said, swaying. See that you don't. And everything was normal. There. Pebbles were getting hot. The sky was big and blue, and he looked at his fingers and saw the way the sun burned on every black hair. And I looked at his boots and the dust on them, and suddenly he felt very happy because he made a decision. I won't go to sleep, he thought, for 6 days? Good luck. I'm having nightmares. So why sleep? There's your solution. He made a routine. From 9 o'clock in the morning, which was this minute, until 12, he would walk around and see the planetoid. He'd write on a pad with a yellow pencil everything he saw. I love that. I find it charming. I'm not making fun of Ray Bradbury. I used to be a huge fan of Ray Bradbury when I was a kid. I read all of his stuff. This is well before the stuff I read, so it's a little bit sloppier, but I just love the 1940s idea of living in the future, which involves, thank God we got our yellow number 2 pencils. So he would write on a pad with a yellow pencil everything he saw. And when he would sit down and open a can of oily sardines and some canned fresh bread with good butter on it, from 12:30 until half 4, he would read 9 chapters of War and Peace. He took the book from the wreckage and laid it where he might find it later. There was a book of T.S. Eliot's poetry, too. That might be nice. Supper would come at 5:30. And then from 6 until 10, he would listen to the radio from Earth. There would be a couple of bad comedians telling jokes, and a bad singer singing some song. And the latest news flashes signing off at midnight with a UN anthem. After that, he felt sick. I'll play solitaire until dawn, he thought. I'll sit up and drink hot black coffee, play solitaire, no cheating, until sunrise. Ho, ho, he thought. What'd you say? He asked himself. I said, ha, ha, he replied. Sometime you'll have to sleep. I'm wide awake, he said. Liar, he retorted, enjoying the conversation. I feel fine, he said. Hypocrite, he replied. I'm not afraid of the night or sleep or anything, he said. Very funny, he said. Now he felt bad. He wanted to sleep. And the fact that he was afraid of sleep made him want to lie down all the more and shut his eyes and curl up. Comfy cozy? Asked his ironic censor. I'll just walk and look at the rocks and the geological formations and think how good it is to be alive, he said. Ye gods, cried his censor. William Surian. Not going to look that up. Oh, you'll go on, he thought. Maybe one day, maybe one night, but what about the next night and the next and the next? Oh, can you stay awake all the time for 6 nights? That's what I said earlier. Until the rescue ship comes? And you that good? You that strong? The answer was no. What are you afraid of? I don't know. Those voices, those sounds. But they can't hurt you, can they? Well, they might. You've got to face them sometime, must I? Brace up to it, old man. Chin up and all that rot. He sat down on the hard ground and felt very much like crying, and he felt as if life were over, and he was entering new and unknown territory. It was such a deceiving day, with the sun warm physically, and he felt able and well. One might fish on such a day as this, or pick flowers, or, I don't know, kiss a woman, or anything. But in the midst of a lovely day, what did one get? Death. Well, hardly that. Death, he insisted. He laid down and closed his eyes. He was tired of messing around. All right, he thought, if you are death, come get me. I want to know what all the damn nonsense is about. Now, death came. Eee, said the voice. That's a bunch of E's. I'm not doing this for fun. I'm reading the 27 E's in italics. Yes, I know, said Leonard Sale, lying there. But what else? Ah, said the voice. Well, I know that also, said Leonard Sale irritably. He turned cold. His mouth hung open wildly. I am Teal of Rathalar, killer of men, and I am Ior of Wendillo, destroyer of infidels. What is this place? Asked Leonard Sale, struggling against horror. Once a mighty planet, said Teal of Rathalar. Once a place of battles, said Ior of Wendillo. Now dead, said Teal. Now silent, said Ior. Until you came, said Teal. To give us life again, said Ior. You're dead, insisted Leonard Sale, flesh writhing. You're nothing but empty wind. Now we live through you and fight through you. So that's it, thought Leonard Sale. I'm to be a battleground, am I? Are you friends? Enemies, cried Eeyore. Oh, foul enemies, cried Teal. Leonard smiled a rictal smile. What's a rictal smile? I'm going to look that one up. Fixed grimace or grin. Ned's smile had become a rictus of repulsion. Okay. So he smiled a rictal smile, a smile of repulsion. He felt ghastly. Well, how long have you waited? He demanded. Oh, how long is time? 10,000 years? Perhaps. 10 million years? Perhaps. What are you? Thoughts? Spirits? Ghosts? All of those and more. Intelligences? Precisely. How do you survive? Eee, sang the chorus far away. Ah, sang another army waiting to fight. Once upon a time, this was fertile land, a rich planet, and there were 2 nations, strong nations, led by 2 strong men. I, Eeyore, and he, the ones who calls himself Teal. And the planet declined to give way to nothingness. The peoples and the armies languished in the midst of a great war which had lasted, 5,000 years. We lived long lives and loved long loves. Drank much, slept much, fought much. And when the planet died, our bodies withered. And only in time and with much science did we survive. Survive, wondered Leonard Sale. But there's nothing of you. Our minds, fool, our minds. What's a body without a mind? What's a mind without a body? Laughed Leonard Sale. I've got you there. Admit it, I've got you. True, said the cruel voice. One is useless, lacking the other. But survival is survival even when unconscious. All the minds of our nations, through science, through wonder, have survived. But without senses, lacking ears, eyes, lacking touch, smell, and the rest, lacking all those, yes, we were vapors merely for a long time, until today. And now I am here, thought Leonard Sale. You are here, said the voice, to give substance to our mentalities, to give us our needed body. Oh, I'm only one, thought Sale. Nevertheless, you are of use. I'm an individual, thought Sale. I resent your intrusion. He resents our intrusion. Did you hear him, Ira? He resents, as if he has a right to resent. I'll be careful, warned Sale. I'll blink my eyes and you'll be gone, phantoms, and I'll wake up and I'll rub you out. But you'll have to sleep again sometime, cried Eeyore. And when you do, we'll be here, waiting for you. And what do you want? Solidity? Mass? Sensation again? You can't both have it. We'll fight that out between us. A hot clamp twisted his skull, as if a spike had been thrust and beaten down through the bilobular halves of his brain. Now it was terribly clear, horribly, magnificently clear. He was their universe, the world of his thoughts, his brain, his skull, divided into two camps, that of Eeyore and that of Tyel, and they were using him. Pennants flung up on a pink mine sky, brass shields caught the sun, gray animals shifted and came rushing in, bristling tides of sword and plume and trumpet. Eee! The rushing, the roaring, now the whirling, 10,000 men hurtled across the small hidden stage. 10,000 men floated on the shackled inner ball of his eyes. 10,000 javelins hissed between the small bone hulls of his head. 10,000 jeweled guns exploded. 10,000 voices chanted his ears. And now his body was riven and extended, shaken and rolled. He's screaming, writhing, and plates of his skull threatened to burst asunder. The gabbling, the shrilling as across bone plains of his mind, the continent of inner marrow, through gullies of vein, down hills of artery, over rivers of melancholy, came armies and armies. One army, two armies, swords flashed in the sun, bearing down upon each other. 50,000 minds snatching, scrambling, cutting at him, yet demanding, using, and in a moment, the hard collision. One army on another, the rush, the blood, the sound, the fury, the death, the insanity. Like cymbals, the army struck. He leapt up, raving. He ran across the desert, and he ran, and he did not stop running. Now, he sat down and cried, and he sobbed until his lungs ached, and he cried very hard and long. Tears ran down his cheeks and into his upraised, trembling fingers. God, help me, oh, God, help me, he said. All was normal again. Well, with that, why don't I take a little break to see if I got to go deal with my dog taking a crap? Why don't you go down to the basement? Go sit on the one folding chair I have down there underneath a naked light bulb. And just stare across the darkened room to the other naked light bulb right across from you, where I will suddenly emerge with a guitar. And I will play for you the latest upcoming books from Penguin Random House. I'm coming. Okay. Oh, well, there you are. You were sitting in your little folding chair. Good for you. I checked on the boy. He's still sleeping, so he doesn't have to take crap yet. Why don't I play guitar for you? Pretty good. As I tell you about the latest Penguin Random House book, Royal Scandal, by Amy Carter. It's part of the Royal Blood series of books. Want to hear about Royal Scandal? Sure. The second book in the Royal Blood series about an American girl. That's a twist. Who threatens the royal family by exposing their darkest scandals, just like an American, even as they get more sinister. American girl turned monarchy nightmare Evan Bright has gotten used to the press about her, but the media attention has only seemed to get worse. From desperate clickbait articles about her and the president's son, the royal record headlines pitting her against Princess Maisie, It seems everyone is dying for Evan to return back to America for good. Meanwhile, Evan is receiving mysterious threats about her real story being revealed in a tell-all biography. When more information is leaked about Evan, she fears that she will be Britain's media villain. But the threats escalate, and there's an attempted assassination with no suspects, and Evan believes the person is in the palace's walls. They say what doesn't kill you will make you stronger, but what if it's the royal family who wants you dead? Then you just get stronger. I don't know what they're trying to say there. That's Royal Scandal by Amy Carter. Sounds dumb. Hardcover for $19.99, March 26th. You can get that at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Bookshop.org, Hudson Booksellers, Powell's, Target, and you know the people standing around wondering what happened to the princess recently with all the weird Photoshop pictures they were putting out about her and all sorts of weird random shit. And then they finally come out and say that she has cancer, which is terrible. And then they say, oh, shame on all the rest of you with your conspiracy theories. Though in reality, why did you put out pictures of her that were Photoshopped? Why did you do all that? Why didn't you just say, oh, there's something going on we don't want to talk about yet because it's a family issue? And then, finally come out and say, I've got cancer. And then nobody would have to conspire and talk about, why the hell's all these Photoshop pictures of her in a car with, 19 wheels? Or she's, posing with her family and it's photoshopped, and the AP says, no, this is a fake photo, and we're taking this back, and then the Windsor or whatever, the royals come out and say, oh, sorry. They even pretend that Kate says, I'm sorry, I like to dabble in Photoshop. That actually happened. All of this actually happened, and then it turns out she's got cancer, which is horrible. So what's worse, the disrespect of just making up this weird clown show before you finally tell the truth, or the fact that people were conspiring or coming up with conspiracy theories? I don't know, but they're all standing around talking about it while staring at the cover of this book at Walmart. Well, with that, why don't we go back upstairs to the library and continue reading the rest of this story. Well, all right, get settled. We got to hurry up and get through this before the dog starts whining. You'll probably hear him whining on this microphone. I'm ruining the whole mansion bit when I talk about it that way. You'll hear the dog whining here in our library, meaning he's got to take a shit. So let's power through this. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The rocks were baked by the sun. He managed, after a time, to cook himself a few hot biscuits, which he ate with a strawberry jam, and he wiped his stained fingers on his shirt, blindly trying not to think. Well, at least I know what I'm up against, he thought. Oh, Lord, what a world, eh? What an innocent-looking world, and what a monster it really is. Oh, it's good no one ever explored it before, or did they? And he shook his aching head. Pity them, whoever crashed here before, if any of them did. Warm sun, hard rocks, not a sign of hostility. A lovely world, until you shut your eyes and relax your mind. And the night of the voices and the insanity and the death padded in on soft feet. Oh, I'm all right now, though, he said proudly. Look at that. He displayed his hand by a supreme effort of will. Oh, it was no longer shaking. I'll show you who in hell's ruler here, he announced to the innocent sky. I am. He taps his chest. To think that thought could live that long. 1,000,000 years, perhaps. All these thoughts of death and disorder and conquest lingering in the innocent but poisonous air of this planet, waiting for a real man to give them a channel through which they might issue again in all their senseless virulence. Now that he was feeling better, I was all silly. Yeah, all I have to do, he thought, is stay awake 6 nights. How the hell can you do that? Oh, they won't bother me that way. When I'm awake, I'm dominant. I'm stronger than those crazy monarchs and the silly tribes and sword flingers and shield bearers and horn blowers. I'll stay awake. But can you, he wondered, 6 whole nights awake? Well, there's coffee and medicine and books and cards. But I'm tired now. Oh, so tired, he thought. Can I hold out? Well, if not, there's always the gun. The hell? Where will these silly monarchs be if you put a bullet through their stage? All the world's a stage? No, you, Leonard Sale, are the small stage, and they, the players. And what if you put a bullet through the wings, tearing down scenes, destroying curtains, ruining lines, destroy the stage, the players, all, if they aren't careful? First of all, he must radio through Marsport again, if there be any way that they could rush the rescue ship sooner. Then maybe he could hang on. Anyway, he must warn them what sort of planet this was. This is so innocent-seeming spot of nightmare and fever vision. Well, he tapped on the radio key for a minute. His mouth tightened. The radio was dead. It had sent through the proper rescue message, received a reply, then extinguished itself. The proper touch of irony, he thought. There was only one thing to do. Draw a plan. This he did. Oh, he got his yellow pencil and delineated his 6-day plan of escape. Good, thank God for the pencil. At least the pencil doesn't crap out on him. Doesn't need batteries. Tonight, he wrote, read 6 more chapters of War and Peace. That'll put you to sleep. At 4 a.m, have hot black coffee. All right. And at 4:15, take cards from a pack and play 10 games of solitaire. This should take until, 6:30 when, more coffee. And at 7 o'clock, listen to early morning programs from Earth. If the receiving equipment on the radio works at all. Does it? I tried the radio receiver. It was dead. Well, he wrote, from 7 o'clock till 8, sing all the songs you remember. Make your own entertainment. And from 8 till 9, think about Helen King. What? Remember Helen. On second thought, think about Helen right now. Okay, I'm going to look up Helen King. I don't think Helen King is going to register on my Kindle. Searching Wikipedia. Canadian actress, born in 72? No. Helen King, police officer, born in 65? No. Helen King, classicist, active since 1993? Nope. Helen Dean King, American biologist from 1869 to 1955. Is that who he's referring to? Or Helen King, the oncologist? Okay, well, whatever. Helen King, remember Helen. On second thought, think about Helen right now. Oh, they show a picture of Helen King. It's like an illustration. It's just a woman in a bikini, doing that thing they do in the 1940s where they look kind of like a bent reed. Okay, well, whatever. Helen King is not the biologist, just unless this is what the biologist is supposed to look like. In that case, biology is sexy as hell. He marked it out with a pencil. The rest of the days were down in minute detail. He checked the medical kit. There were several packets of tablets that could keep you awake. Well, then just take those. 1 tablet every hour on the hour for 6 days. He felt quite confident. Here's mud in your eye, evil. Ior Teriel. I forgot how I pronounced it last time. He swallowed one of the stay awake tablets with a scalding mouth of black coffee. Well, with one thing and another, it was Tolstoy, Balzac, gin, rummy, coffee, tablets, walking more, Tolstoy, the more Balzac, more gin, rummy, more solitaire. The first day passed, as did the second and the third. On the 4th day, he lay quietly in the shade of a rock, counting to 1,000 by 5s, then by 10s, to keep his mind occupied and awake. Oh, his eyes were so tired. He had to, well, what about the stay-awake tablets? He had to bathe them frequently in cool water. Oh, he couldn't read, and he was bothered with splitting headaches. He was so exhausted he couldn't move. He was numb with medicine. He resembled a waxen dummy, stuffed with things to preserve him in a state of horrified wakefulness. His eyes were glass. His tongue a rusted pike. His fingers felt as if they were gloved in needles and fur. Apparently his stay-awake tablets suck. He followed the hand of his watch. 1 second less to wait, he thought. 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4, 5, 10, 30 seconds, a whole minute, and now an hour less time to wait. Oh, ship, hurry on thy appointed round. He began to laugh softly. And what would happen if he just gave up, just went off to sleep? Sleep? Sleep. Perchance to dream. All the world a stage. What if he gave up the unequal struggle, lapsed down? The high, shrill, warning sound of battle metal. That's the sound of battle metal. He shivered. His tongue moved in his dry, burry mouth. Ior and Teal would battle out their ancient battle. Leonard Sale would become quite insane. And whichever won the battle would take the ruin of an insane man, the shaking, laughing, wild body, and wander it across the face of the world for 20 years, occupying it, striding it, pompous, holding court, making grand gestures, ordering heads severed, calling on an inward, unseen dancing girls. Leonard Sale, what remained of him, would be led off to some hidden cave where he'd be infested with wars and worms of wars, 20 insane years, occupied and prostituted by an old outlandish thoughts. When the rescue ship arrived, it would find nothing. Sale would be hidden somewhere by a triumphant army in his head, hidden in some cleft of rock, placed there like a nest for Ior to lie upon, evil occupation. Oh, he thought of it, almost broke him in half. 20 years of insanity, 20 years of torture, doing what you don't want to do, 20 years of wars raging and being split apart, 20 years of nausea and trembling, and his head sank down between his knees. His eyes snapped and cracked and made soft noises. His eardrum popped tiredly. Sleep, sleep, sang the soft sea voices. I'll make a proposition with you. Listen, thought Leonard Sale. You, Ior, and you, Teal. Ior, you can occupy me on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Teal, you can take me over on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays. Thursday is May's night out, okay? Eee, sang the seed ties, seething in his brain. Oh, sang the distant voices softly. Soft. What do you say? It's a bargain, Ior, Teal? No, said a voice. No, said another. Greedy, both of you. Greedy, complained Sale. A pox on you, both your houses. And he slept. He was Ior, jeweled rings on his hands, and he rose beside his rocket and held out his fingers, commanding blind armies. He was Ior, ancient ruler of jeweled warriors. He was Teal, lover of women. Killer of dogs. With some hidden bit of awareness, his hand crept to the holster of his hip, and his sweeping hand withdrew the gun there. The hand lifted, the gun pointed. The armies of Teal and Ior gave battle, and the gun exploded. The bullet tore across Sale's forehead, wakening him. He stayed awake another 6 hours, getting over his latest siege. He knew it'd be hopeless now. He washed and bandaged the wound he had given himself, and he wished that he had aimed straighter, and it was all over. He watched the sky. 2 more days. 2 more. Come on, ship, come on. Oh, it was heavy with sleeplessness. No use. At the end of 6 hours, he was raving badly. He took the gun up and put it down again, and up again, and put it against his head, and tightened his hand on the trigger, and changed his mind, and looked at the sky again. Night settled. I tried to read, threw the book away, he tore it up and burned it. Well, that's not a good idea, just to have something to do. So tired, in another hour he decided, if nothing happens, I'll kill myself. Well, this is for certain now, I'll do it this time. He got the gun ready and laid it on the ground next to himself. And he's very calm now, though tired, and it would be over and done, and he'd be dead. He watched the minute hand of his watch, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 25 minutes. The flame appeared on the sky. Oh, he was so unbelievable. He started crying. A rocket, he said, standing up. A rocket, he cried, rubbing his eyes. And he ran forward. The flame brightened, grew, and came down. He waved frantically, running forward, leaving his gun, his supplies, and everything behind. You see that? Ior, Teal, you savages, you monsters, I beat you, I won. Oh, they're coming to rescue me now, I won, damn you. Oh, he laughed harshly at the rocks, in the skies, in the back of his hands. The rocket landed, and Leonard Sale stood swaying, waiting for the door to lid open. Goodbye, Ior, goodbye, Teal, he shouted in triumph, grinning, eyes hot. He sang a diminishing roar in time. The voices faded. The rocket flipped its airlock, and 2 men jumped out. Sail, they called. We're ship ACDN-13. Intercepted your SOS and decided to pick you up ourselves. The Marsport ship won't get through here till day after tomorrow. And we want a spot to rest ourselves. We thought it'd be good to spend a night here. Pick you up and go on. No, said Sail, face melting with terror. No spend night. He couldn't talk. He fell to the ground. Quick, said a voice in a bleary vortex over him. Give him a shot of food liquid. Another sedative? Oh, he needs sustenance and rest. No rest, screamed Sale. Delirious, said one man softly. No sleep, said Sale. There, said the man gently, a needle poked into Sale's arm. Sale thrashed. No sleep, go, he mouthed horribly. Oh, go. Delirious, one man said, shock. No sedative, screamed Sale. The sedative flowed into him. Ee, sang the ancient winds. Ah, sang the ancient seas. No sedative, no sleep, please don't, screamed Sale, trying to get up. You don't understand. Take it easy, old man. You're safe among us now, Nothing to worry about, said the rescuer above him. Leonard Sale slept. The two men stood over him. As they watched, Sale's features changed violently. He groaned and cried and snarled in his sleep. His face was riven with emotion. He was the face of a saint, a sinner, a fiend, a monster, a darkness, a light, one, many, an army, a vacuum, all, exclamation point. He writhed in his sleep. Eee, said the sound burst from his mouth. Ah, he screamed. What's wrong with him? Asked one of the rescuers. I don't know. More sedatives. Nerves. He needs more sleep. They struck a needle in his arm, and Sale writhed and spat and moaned. Then suddenly he was dead. He lay there, and the two men over him. What a shame, said one of them. Can you figure that out? Shock, poor guy, what a pity. They covered his face. Did you ever see a face like that? Totally insane. Loneliness, Shock. Yes, Lord, what an expression. I hope never to see a face like that again. What a shame. Waiting for us, and we arrive, and he dies anyway. Well, they overdosed him. They glanced around. What shall we do? Shall we spend the night? Yes, it's good to be out of the ship. Well, we'll bury him first, of course, naturally. And spend the night out in the open with good air, right? Good to be out in the open again after 2 weeks of that damn ship. Right, I'll find a spot for him. You start supper? Done. Oh, we should be sleeping tonight. Fine. And they made a grave and said a word over it. They drank their evening coffee silently, and they smelled the sweet air of the planet and looked at the lovely sky and the bright and beautiful stars. What a night, they said, lying down. Pleasant dreams, said one, rolling over, and the other replied, pleasant dreams. They slept. Well, that's the end of that. Why don't we go down to the smoking room and have a cigarette? I heard my dog whining, so I'm going to go do that first. So why don't you go down there and light him up, and I'll be down there in a minute. I'm coming. Here I am. He had to go take a shit. So we're down here in the smoking room to review what the hell we just read. Ray Bradbury, my wife put birds in here. Ray Bradbury started his career writing a lot of short stories for like weird fiction magazines and those kind of things. And so he kind of learned his craft as he went along. He was a little kid. He tells a lot of lies too, as I found out. Like I said, I used to really love this guy a lot when I was in like middle school. And so I read pretty much everything he ever wrote. And then I read more about him, and he's okay. He's a little embarrassing. I guess one kid was so inspired by him that they were trying to write, so they wrote a short story and they sent it to him. So he's nice enough to read some kid's short story about turning into a werewolf or whatever, and he says, this is really good. And he goes, you should really focus on writing. You got to write every day. You got to write all day long, every day. You got to read books and write and stuff. And the kid's like, okay, great. And then they kind of kept a correspondence for like a year or so. And then the kid's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to college. And he's like, don't go to college. You're wasting your time. Just write. Don't worry about college. Just write. You gotta hone your craft. And the guy kind of got creeped out and stopped talking to Ray Bradbury because he was so creepy. About like, don't go to college. Listen to me. You do what I say. So, then he also told fibs about growing up and how he went to one of those carnivals, come to a small town. When I was a kid, my grandparents, they lived in a small town. We go visit them, and they'd always get so excited because a carnival would come, and they'd have rides and stuff. And so you go there back in the 1920s 20s or something when he was a kid. The carnival came and there was a guy that would basically just like shoot himself full of electricity and show off like all the bolts coming out of him. I don't know. So anyways, he apparently pointed his sword at Ray Bradbury and lightning shooting all over the place and said, "Live forever." And that's his big story he tells about why he wanted to become famous. Turns out it was a lie and it never happened. So Ray Bradbury, weird guy. His like around Fahrenheit 451 is probably his prime where he wrote as good as he's going to write. And then after that, he just got real embarrassing with his writing. A lot of like words like bang and zip in his writing and stuff. Really strange. And his early stuff, really weird too. We just got a sample of this. I read something else of his like about a year ago or whatever from one of the magazines he was published in. So it's like there's kind of this sweet spot in the middle. And then after that, really weird. I remember reading the Zen and the Art of Writing that he wrote. And it says like, action words are important when you write. You got to use things like kazow and bazam to make people excited about what they're reading. So that's Ray Bradbury for you. This story, another good concept. He was very good with the premise. So his premise being, what if you can't sleep? What if you're on another planet and you fall asleep and they're going to get taken over by dead people or dead aliens with horrible, stupid sci-fi alien names? And so it's a good premise. It's a good Twilight Zone episode. But anyways, so there you go. Nice little short break before I dig into, Christ, what am I going to read next? My next big book. I always read a short story between the next big... Oh, I'm going to read Treasure Island next. Which is going to be hell for me. I read this when I was in junior high or middle school or whatever you people want to call it, and I hated it. But I decided it's public domain. Someone's got to read it sometime, and I'm going to read Treasure Island. So I'll see you next week where I read Treasure Island. Well, it appears you found me in the part of the podcast I hate the most, where I tell you all about the places on the internet where you can find me. You can tell I hate this because of the sound effects making it sound like a stormy night in the drawing room of the damned. Now, there's that. Are you cool? I like cool people. It's the reason why I got involved in this business to begin with, just to meet cool people. Not losers. So if you're cool, feel free to go over to my website, nuzzlehouse.com. But if you go there, you get to hear some of the other stuff that I and my wife work on, like the Radio Mystery Theater show, where we try to recreate the same show that used to be on in the 70s, but they don't make any episodes anymore. So we make our own, and we just steal all their commercials. And also, just in the curious mind, we made a Christmas album. If you go to our link tree, you can see that we made a Christmas album. It's the first thing we did after getting married, which I think everyone should do when they get married, is start talking about the Christmas album they're going to make. And we're working on a new show where we give relationship advice by reading paranormal smut. And since I think you might be cool, you can always just email me directly, glenn.nuzzles@gmail.com. But don't email if you're a nerdlinger or a dork. Now, back to business. I can't believe I drank all of them already. There's got to be one left.